Oh, sorry. So, what I was saying is that the Mythrk leader was a brave warrior, strong warrior, and he existed from 1473 to 1532. Now, this leader, he was something very, he had two main things. Since that was on mute and I didn't realize, his Mythrk sword, which was hidden away after the first great Mythrk war, and after he died in battle. The second that thing he had was a book series, was a crest called the Mythrk crest. This crest was his family's lineage and what they created. The training he underwent, the creating of the sword, the training he underwent, the wars he fought, and then what would have been the finishing part of the crest was his ultimate demise, where he died in battle in 1532. Besides that, there were many other things that pretty much went going for him. He was born in 1473. He was a brave. He was a. I go into a little bit of history. He was a. I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah, he was the son of a, not essentially a poor family, but he was the son of a very kind of slight poor family that worked off of the farmland. This farmland that they had was in a village. As time went on, what eventually happened is that an army came over and attacked his village. What happened eventually is that when the village was attacked, he was sent out of the village to keep him from getting killed. Eventually, what happened is his family was killed in that village. Everyone except him was. And what he did as a commemorative to that village is he dug all the holes of every person that was killed in that village and buried them. All that was left to him was some supplies that he traveled the desert for almost 2.5 weeks. This desert he traveled, I don't really know what desert it was, but all I know is that he trekked for over 2.5 weeks, almost 3 weeks, and almost died of exhaustion. What happened next was the fact that he was rescued by an ancient kingdom. This kingdom would later become Mithronia in the books. And let me think. Oh yeah, later become Mithronia. He was then trained by the leader of that place, and eventually the army came in and attacked their place because they heard a prophecy about a great warrior that would destroy the ancient evil and bring peace back to the land. This in turn was not true. This in turn struck fear in the enemies, so they decided to go and attack the city. And when they did, the leader of that city died in the midst of the war, of that battle. And the kid that would later become Shankly or the Mythrk, about 600 years ago, he would decide to start and end the war for good. So what he did is he created the sword that I showed you. That sword is what he would use to win those wars. Later, as he earned victory and victory, one of his students that he trained became jealous. He turned and became of, how can I say this? Chose to resort to witchcraft and dark magic. And eventually, that would pretty much lead him to, how can I say this? Well, it would lead him to pretty much fighting and starting wars with the Mythrk leader. As that time went on, and I'm trying to think what else. Never done this before, but pretty much what happened is that he eventually turned on him and later became the ancient evil that was sworn enemies of the Mythrk. This war would eventually become something very, very dangerous. No weapon could kill this ancient evil because of the powers that he gained. So what happened is he resorted to creating a weapon. One weapon that could destroy it and could actually kill it. The Mythrk sword. This sword was created from ancient metals that were passed down in that land. And what it could do is it could kill any evil that was part of the ancient evil. Eventually, he would go into battle, and the ancient evil would be dormant for 400 or 500 more years, until I would come around, find the sword. Someone I knew would get corrupted by it, and eventually this whole war would start over again. This, however, was a very, very serious deal, because as the years went on, there were different things that happened in these wars. It's very, very complex. There are a lot of details into it, but the Mythrk Chronicles is a set of books collected. This is the main introduction. The Mythrk Chronicles is a set of books collected and gathered into one story about about a kid who, raised from nothing, became an ancient warrior. But after time had passed, what happened is that one of his students would later betray him in the act of his fame, and would seek dark magic, witchcraft, and other evils to rule. What would happen to this world and what would become of it? The only way to find out is to read the first book of the series. About 500 years later, after the ancient evil was killed, two boys decided to travel near an ancient deep hole. While looking over the hole, one of them got drugged in by something as the first boy tried to keep him out, but lost his grip, and the other boy fell into the cave and later became consumed by that dormant evil that existed. Years pass by, and the boy decides to return to the cave, finding an ancient sword, where later two other people accompliced him into that cave. When two ancient evil soldiers show up, the boy grabs the sword, overpowers them, and tells them, "Send word to my brother. If he wants to finish this war, he's got himself a battle and a deal." So they go away, tell the brother, and so begins the war. This book series has taken 11 years to work on. It took many, many years of hard work and dedication. And let's go ahead and get into it. Each of my books is accompanied by drawings that I did myself. These drawings would have very, very interesting drawings, writings, and details on it. All I have is my little sheet of paper, but I got some, but it works. So let's see. All right, we got it. We got everything. All right. Let's do this. Man, I've waited so many years for this. Mythrk Chronicles by Shank, leader of the Mythrk, and hello everyone. My name is Josiah Phillips, and I'm the author of this book, and requested the series by Shank, leader of the Mythrk himself. The Mythrk Chronicles by Josiah Phillips, requested by the Mythrk leader himself, and written by Josiah Phillips. Chapter 1. All beginnings. Chapter 1. New beginnings. It had come to my attention that I'd been enjoying such pleasant days as this, quiet, peaceful, very relaxed, when in the midst of my days, well, trying to enjoy myself a bit of grape juice, an idea had occurred to my head that I would come out and explain something. I did not know of what time it was in which I woke up, but I would yet wake up to another day. With it being 21 years of hard work and effort of my life, I'd always been searching for a reason for things, whether it be in nature or it be in the city. Yet I was tired and drained after another long night of just tired, not being able to sleep. Over time, I thought I would wake up and do something different. I thought of maybe getting myself some coffee. I thought to myself, no, it's a bit too early for that. Might as well find something else. So, with my curious mind, I decided to check the fridge. After looking in there, I noticed there was not very much in there, but I had found me something very good to drink. A fresh bottle of cranberry grape juice. The taste was always tangy, but the sweetness of the grape was quite intrigued. As I began to drink some more of it, it began that taste of just pure goodness. The tanginess of the grape juice stinging my mouth, while the sweetness of the aftertaste of grape go down my throat. I then began to wonder to myself, what must I do with my life to be very productive this day? I thought to myself, oh well, I might as well think of something to do. As I resorted to going to check and maybe playing some video games, I thought to myself, this is something I've been doing for a while, but I might as well resort to something else. So, in the midst of sitting there thinking of something, an idea popped into my head, a brilliant idea. Why not work on something interesting? So, as I began to think about things I could do for the day, one of the unique things I thought about doing was this. It'd be really neat if I could play some games or go see what everybody else was up to. When the slight knock at the door awakened me, I thought to myself, no one is ever out here except for me. Who might that be? So, out of strict curiosity, I proceeded to go and check the door. There was a man with a brown old hat. He had seemed quite older, way more my age, or a bit older. Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir, he said with a calm yet precise voice. I said good evening back. What are you doing out here? He said, I realized that I heard many things about you. It would be interesting to know. I asked him what he meant, because, frankly, no one was ever out here. He said that I had been well known among some people, and that he wanted to request something for me. Now, in that time, I was never really a book writer, nor someone who was very vigilant when it came to certain things. But a stranger in the woods coming out to my cabin? What is the most absurd and obscure thing that could ever happen? So, I proceeded to ask him, what's his business here? He said he was simply looking around and he was wondering if this was my land. I told him simply yes. This has been my land for many years, passed down through my grandparents, then to me. He said, I have a proposition for you. I was like, okay. And he said, would you be willing to work on something for me? And I said, what might that exactly be? He said, I have this book and scroll and documents. I have no use for them, but I would really like it if, and I thought to myself, uh-oh, what could this mean? A stranger in these type of clothes do all the way out here in this forest asking me about a book. I simply replied to, look, I don't know what you want, but I am afraid you'll have to leave my property. But he replied saying, I want you to work on this for me. I've been to town and I've asked many people to work on it, but they refuse to. I asked him, well, what is it? He said, it's a book. It's a collection of documents. I was hoping maybe you could work on it with me. I thought to myself, what in the heck is this guy thinking? I asked him, there are many other people in different surrounding towns. Go and see with them. See if they will do it for you. But then he said, no, I've already done that, and they've turned me down. But you, on the other hand, are rather interesting. I was hoping maybe you could help me. So, out of attempts to let this person off hand and let him return back to town, I was simply left with the option to welcome him in. His clothes were rather rugged and used. Some parts of it were torn, other parts of it were patched. The way his coat looked was as old and rugged, just like maybe his sheer voice. Then I began to think to myself, well, this man wants me, a boy of my age, out of the woods, to work on a book that I have no idea of? I then began to ask him, you said that nobody was willing to do this. Why you come to me? He said that someone came along and told him that there was a storyteller out in the middle of the woods. He simply said, well, that someone had told him there was a storyteller in the woods. I had simply been that storyteller, and that that person could get his books written. I simply told him, whoever told you that was wrong. I'm no storyteller. I'm just a simple boy trying to make my way through life in peace and quiet. He said that it would be all right and that he would hope that he could help him out. This had rather come to my attention as very strange, but yet I was at some point very intrigued by the words he said. Someone saying I could write a story when I didn't know how to write stories. So I proceeded to go ahead and let him have a seat. It seemed as if he was older than he appeared, maybe in his 30s, maybe in his 40s. Yet I knew one thing. How in the heck did I get into this predicament? He simply said that he needed me to help him out with these books. So I unloaded them for him. And the amount of documents he had was so much. This is going to be more difficult than I anticipated. But yet, I would not turn him away, because it was not my character to do so. So, I asked him, will you be needing anything to drink or eat? He's like, no. I will be headed back to town soon. But I'm hoping you can help me work this out. It will not be very long, and frankly, it will be a very easy thing to do. So, I thought to myself, well, might as well give it a shot. So now, in the midst of me missing out on my breakfast routine, I sat down with him and said, well, what shall I work on? He said, this. And what he handed me was a scroll. The scroll was quite old, had some ripped tears in it. But on that scroll was a logo or a symbol that I had never seen before. It looked as if it was a capital X, and in the middle there was a line that ran through it. I had not seen such strange things, nor been equipped for such a strange sighting. A mystery man wandering in the woods, an ancient symbol showing me on the verge of madness, trying to figure out whether I should turn down the offer or resort to kindness. But that would be left up to me to decide. As time went on, I began to think, well, I might as well figure something out. As time went on, I got him some food. It was not very much, but it was worth it. He was very courteous of the idea of me offering food to him, even though I was not very, well, known to people. I simply chose to reside in a very quiet place away from everybody, where I could do my own peaceful things. I then thought to myself, well, tell me, these scrolls and these documents, what do they mean? He said they're from my land and my people. We seek to have these written down to pass down through the generations. I simply want you to do it as well. He simply replied, well, it is important that you help me with this. I want you to help me write these. I told him I'm not much of a writer. I had a low degree in writing, and I'm very impatient by trying to get everything written down. He simply said, well, that's all right. As long as these get written down, they'll be completely fine for me. So, with me in the middle of me having a starving stomach, me not having any breakfast, and welcoming in a stranger I had never seen before. I simply said, after getting my paper and ink, which I rarely ever get, I asked him, "So, what shall we write?" He said, "I want it to be a story that can be passed down through the generations, a story that can be known for everyone, one that will encourage people, even the weakest, to become brave." I simply said, "This book must be very important." He said, "Yes, it is my people's history. I must have this written down for everyone so that they may know what this story means." And so, in the middle of me sitting down with my paper and ink and the documents in front of me, he said, "Well, it has been many years in the making of this, but I am ready for this story." It's like, "All right, let us begin." And so, the story in which you're about to hear is a story like no other. A story of great warriors and great loss, but yet victory endured. And so begins Mythrk Chronicles.